Okay, so today we're going to be doing inverse linear functions. The secret to today is going to be to switch the x and the y. That's supposed to be a CH there. Switch x and y. Check it out. Here's my x's, and here's my y's. So what we're going to do is, if you're given a set of points, literally just switch them. So like here where I have negative 6, 8, okay, write down the 8 first, then write down the 6. Literally just switching them. So the next point would be 11, negative 15. Next would be 3, 9. And last but not least would be 6, 0. If you're given a table, you're still going to label it x, y the way that we label those, but you're going to switch the values. So instead of being negative 10, then 5, it would be 5, negative 10. 11, negative 4. 12, negative 3. 15, and 0. So as a visual, one of the things we can do, well, let's go ahead and graph here. You're going to find 2 points on here. And then you're going to write down what those points are. So this would be negative 1, 1 as the first point here. And the second one would be what? Negative 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2. So inverse those. So the inverse is going to be 1, negative 1, and 2, negative 4. What you're going to do now is go ahead and plot those. So 1, negative 1 is right here, and 2, negative 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 is right here. And let's go ahead and draw a line. This isn't going to be very straight, is it? Let me try again. Well, here we go. I'll just freehand it close enough. All right, so what's really neat about this, this is actually, if I was to kind of draw an imaginary line right here, this is a reflection across that line. If you could pick this graph up off the computer screen, fold it in half along this gray line, this blue would land exactly on top of the purple. That's what an inverse is. It's like a mirror across what we're going to call the identity line. The identity line is y equals x. That's what I graphed right there. Okay? So that is what's really neat about inverses here. So let's do kind of one that's going to take a little bit more algebra to do. We can find an inverse equation. The secret, again, is going to be to switch the x and y. Now, if you notice, this time they actually gave it to me in function notation. So that's going to be your step 1. Write using a y. Rewrite using, oops, there we go. Rewrite using y. So y equals 4x minus 12. Step 2. Switch the x and y. So now I have x equals 4y minus 12. Do you notice that I did not switch the 4? The 4 stayed in the same spot. I get people every year who think, oh, do I need to move the 4 too? No, the 4 stays. The only thing you're switching is the x and the y, none of the numbers. So for step 3, I want you to solve for y. So what I'm going to do is probably add 12 to both sides. And I notice that that cancels on the right. However, x and 12 cannot combine, so that's just going to be x plus 12. And it looks like the next thing I need to do is divide by 4. And whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. You got to do it to the whole thing. So that's why I'm going to write it twice. And that's going to give me 1/4 x plus 3 equals y. How do I know it's 1/4 x? Well, don't forget, if there's not a variable, a coefficient written with a variable, then you can just assume that it is 1, like that. So that's how I got this 1/4 here. Okay? Alrighty, step 4. Move, or I'm sorry, maybe not move, but let's put the y on the right, put the y on the left side. Put y on left side. Okay, so just switching sides here. Y equals 1/4 x plus 3. We are so close to being done. However, we do want to rewrite this back in function notation. That's going to be step 5. When you write that back in function notation, I want you to recognize that function notation, or we're going to be able to identify that this was an inverse. So rewrite in function notation, which again is going to use f of x. However, f of x means, hey, this is the function. If you want the inverse of it, I can actually label that by putting a teeny tiny -1 right there. See that? So my final answer is f -1. The way I read that is the inverse function of x equals 1/4 x plus 3. And that is my final answer.